Hey beauties, it's Riri. If you're new here, I'm an over 40 lover of all things beauty, and I really love showcasing indie brands here on my channel. If that sounds like your cup of tea or your double shot, please consider subscribing and giving the video a thumbs up. If you want to stick around and see more of me, you can turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. We are on episode 4 of our palette declutter series. All right, beauties, here is my palette collection. We have 25 more palettes today, you guys. Again, we're going to try to rock and roll if this gets long. Y'all know what I say. Grab your tacos and your tequila, your milk and cookies, your Doritos, your Cheetos, your Fritos, your gingerbread cookies, whatever your pleasure, and sit back and relax and enjoy the show. First up is the Ace Beauty, the Floral Vintage Palette. It is a beautiful color story. I really love the layout. I love that there's some depth here. It's still a little bit warm, but then it's got purples and it's a little bit grungy too. I really like their formula as well, and I don't have a whole lot from Ace Beauty, so I think I'm going to hold on to this one for now. Next up is my all-time favorite palette, period of life, ever. It's just that fantastic. It is the Empress Me Skin Palette. I love this I just hit myself in the face. I love this palette so much. The quality is there. The color story is phenomenal. Of course, it's nothing really to write home about. It is overall pretty neutral, but I love that there's a lot of depth here. I have used this for my brows, for my blush, for my highlight. It's fantastic. This shadow right here is one of my all-time favorite shadows just ever. I use it a ton. They have one of the best blacks I've ever used. They have an incredible formula. They have a very blendable, very soft, smooth formula. It's long lasting. I love what they represent. Just being yourself, love to everyone, empowering one another. They can do no wrong. They can do no wrong, in my opinion. And I love, again, it is a little bit more of a neutral palette, but it's a neutral palette with a pop. A neutral palette that has a little bit of punch. I feel like it's so versatile. I feel like anybody can use it, and that is the preface of it being the skin palette, representing all skin tones, and anybody can use it. Phenomenal quality. I do have a code with Empress Me. You know that I love Empress Me. You know, I'm all about the indie brands. It's Riri20. I do earn a small commission, so if you do use the code, thank you in advance. This palette's not going anywhere until it's too old for me to use, basically. Next up is the Nomad Cosmetics, of course, another one of my favorite indie brands. This is the Bosque Nuboso de Monteverde, or Monteverde palette. This one was gifted to me in PR. I think it is a beautiful, beautiful color story. I think that they nailed it with the theming, with the colors, with the shades. I really love the looks that I created with this. Solely because I don't really think I'm going to get a lot of use out of this palette, just because it's not kind of my traditional color story, and because I've also showcased it already for you guys. I am going to go ahead and declutter this one, but their formula, you guys, is impeccable. They have a phenomenal formula. Their mattes are super bold, very pigmented. They have a beautiful formula, and it also is very long lasting, which you guys know is very important to me. I love the preface of being a nomad and traveling, and then them kind of taking all of these incredible sights and sounds and, you know, inspirations from their travels and then putting it into the palettes and into their releases. They release things with thought and intention. That's another reason why I really like them. I like Rebel Rouge Labs. I like a brand that doesn't do kind of the run-of-the-mill type of thing, and Nomad Cosmetics is one of them that does that. The owners are fantastic, very kind. They give back. Love, cannot say enough. And only because, again, I just don't think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it, I am going to go ahead and declutter. Next up is another Nomad Cosmetics palette. This was the Shanghai palette. They actually pulled this, so I'm briefly just gonna say that, hey, I really like it. I used it quite a few times, even though they did pull it. But I really loved the preface of this. and it had kind of a more like neutrally, kind of more cool tone side with the matte white, and then they also had kind of the more shimmery side with the black, kind of, you know, a play on the whole yin and yang type of thing. I really like this. I feel like I get a lot of colors in this that were also in the Monteverde palette, but this one is slightly more wearable, and I've used it more, and I think I would use it more. So for that reason, I am going to keep this one. Next up is the Michaela and Glamlite palette. As you can see, I'm a huge fan of Glamlite. I really liked this, and I love the color story overall. I really like that I love that there's some depth here. I love that they went very neutral and then into your purples, your blues, your pinks, your greens. I have to debate on this one solely because you guys know I'm not all about wearing blues and pinks and purples and all these other colors all the time, and I'm trying to keep in my collection what I really love. So I think I'm going to put it in my maybe, only because like their metallic formula is one of my all-time favorites. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And I do need to keep some colorful palettes, so I'm going to put it in the maybe pile for now. But if you've been on the fence trying indie brands or wanting to try indie brands, I'll really say like Nomad Cosmetics, Rebel Rouge Labs, Glamlite, Blend Bunny, which is up next. You guys, there are so many indie brands that are chef's kiss formulations. Perfection, okay? One of them being the Blend Bunny palette. This is the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Surge palette. I love this palette. I love the layout. I love the concept. I love, again, that there's a lot of depth here. They go very light, very pastel, into mid-tone, more grunge. You've got your vibrant shades. You've got your neon shades. There's mostly mattes, which y'all know I love in a palette. Mostly mattes, and then give me a little bit of shimmers. Then my only thing, is that I wish in the shimmer row that there was something lighter, a little bit more punchy, a little bit more in your face that you could use for an inner corner. This one is light, but it's not super light. But this formula, you guys, very smooth, very long wearing. They blend incredibly well. They're beautiful. And for the fact, and for even the more rich tones in here, the like depthier, darker, deeper mattes, they blend so incredibly well. I thought, you guys know me, I'm not a hype person. I'm not a let me get on this trend type of person. Never will be. But when everybody was talking up this palette, I was like, bullshit. I call bullshit. And the first time I used it, I was like, it ain't bullshit. It's phenomenal, pristine. Like it is a phenomenal quality palette. If I had the extra money, I would own every one of their palettes. They're just incredible. If you're on the fence, please, you guys take the chance on indie brands. I promise you won't be disappointed. Keeping. Next up is the Beauty Bay and Nikki Tutorials palette. It has kind of her dual sides, if you will. There's a little bit of neutrals. Let me try not to blind you guys. There's a little bit of neutrals in here. We have a little bit of warm tones, some cool tones, some more punchy shades. We have a couple of really beautiful like duochrome type shades. This is another one that I was pleasantly surprised with. It also got a lot of hype. Some people actually really didn't like this palette. I thought the quality was there. I thought the quality was fantastic. The mattes blend incredibly well. They're very buttery and very smooth. I have no complaints. I will say I am going to declutter it. That being said, I am going to declutter it solely because I have not reached for it since I very first got it. I did use it a few times. And it's got a lot of love left to give, but it's stunning. It's a great formula, and I hear a lot of fantastic things about the Beauty Bay formula, and they're quite inexpensive, so also another brand to think about. You guys know I'm all about my indie brands. Not an indie brand, but ABH. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina collection. This is palette number 3. This is incredibly well made, very heavy, feels very nice, very luxe. They have, I think, now 5 of these. And that is our color story. Again, I just am not reaching for stuff like this. Even though this is more neutrals and more warm neutrals and greens and stuff like that, I just know that I have enough, and I want to, again, just be as cutthroat as I can be and really be mindful of what I'm keeping in my collection. I want to keep things in my collection that I know I'm reaching for time and time again, and I want to have it. I don't know how many I'm starting with. I'm not 100% sure. I ultimately would like to keep it under 50 palettes, and I still feel like that is quite excessive. We'll see what happens at the end of the series. But I used to say, okay, well, I have 8 different green themed palettes, but this one has this and this one has this. I don't need it. I don't need it. So I am going to declutter it. Next up is another more UK indie based brand. This is the Made by Mitchell Feet on the Ground. This is another pressed pigment palette. That's a lot to say, y'all. Kind of like the Norvina palette is. Automatically, if you know me, you can probably tell this is my vibes. Very much like green based, grungy, yummy deliciousness. Fantastic quality. I am obsessed with this palette. This is another one that some of the pressed pigments in here can be a little bit tricky to work with, just noting that. And if you are a beginner and you're somebody that gets it, just take your time with it. A lot of times I kind of prefer to work from darkest shade to lightest and blend them out in that manner. But beautiful formula. Beautiful formula. They blend incredibly well. They have the staying power that I look for in a shadow formula. First of all, he's an incredible artist. Phenomenal. Kate tags me a lot in their TikToks and stuff like that. And he's very innovative and very creative and thoughtful and intentional behind everything that he does. They have a very cool aesthetic to them, but they also offer very beginner friendly products, but also artist friendly products. The packaging is great. The formula is wonderful. It's definitely going to be a keep. I really love it. I love this overall. So that's a keep. Next up, we have this little Artist Couture Caliente palette I was gifted from Xenia. I think it is absolutely stunning. I feel like we have kept enough, so I'm going to go ahead and declutter that. Next up is the Dirty Dancing The Lift limited edition palette from Sololook. They are no longer a brand. I basically got this. I'm not necessarily a blue fan. It's just not one of the colors I wear all the time, but I love Dirty Dancing. I'm obsessed with Dirty Dancing. I also really loved that it had lenticular packaging on it, which also was just, I loved it. But when I did my look with this, holy freaking crap. I hate that they are no longer a brand. Hopefully they rebrand. Maybe they'll come out down the line or something. Incredibly smooth, very easy to work with mattes. The shimmers are absolutely stunning. Quite long lasting on the lids. It's beautiful, and for it to be a blue palette that literally knocked my socks off, I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. This is not going anywhere. This is one of those things that even if I never touch it again, I'm happy to have it, and it's one of my most prized or most valuable type of of makeup items. It's meaningful to me. It brings a certain emotion to me. It's very nostalgic for me. So I really love this. So I'm definitely going to hold on to that as well. Next up is my very first Milk Cosmetics palette. This is the Milk Cosmetics Smoke Sessions palette. Again, it's green and grungy. I just loved it. Packaging is fantastic. Nice and heavy and weighted. The color story here, I wish it went a little lighter, but it's supposed to be a more deep, moody, grungy type of vibe and aesthetic, so I get it. This is another one that they have a beautiful formula, you guys. Incredible formula. Very long lasting, very easy to work with. I love this palette so much. And because I've gotten rid of a couple other green palettes through my declutters, I think I am going to hold on to it. It's beautiful. I just love it. I love the color story. And Milk Cosmetics is another one that I really wish that I could try a lot more of their stuff. They're a little bit more pricey. A lot more pricey. But I think they're another company, another brand that really creates and curates collections and products with intention and with thought. They don't just stick colorful shades in a palette and put it, hot pink and say, oh, this is 90s. They really pay attention to product. They really pay attention to the packaging, the unit cartons, the names, the shade, the layout, everything. Everything. I'm keeping that, is what I'm saying all that for. Moving on. Next up is the Kaleidos Futurism, whatever VI is, Lunar Lavender. Now this one, because it is a purple palette, most of us, me including myself and y'all, will be like, oh, she ain't gonna keep that. But purple looks fantastic on brown eyes. It just does. If you have brown eyes and you're sleeping on purple, I urge you to try purple. I know that it's super flattering and I love purple. When I actually put it on my eyes, I'm like, damn, it does look beautiful. I just tend to gravitate towards greens and golds and grungy and yellows and stuff like that. This freaking palette though, you guys, Kaleidos has another one of those formulas that the mattes are very, very smooth, very easy to work with, long lasting, and their shimmer formula is also very, very pretty. They're another one that I would love to try a lot more from. And they're another brand that the hype is real. Like the hype is there. The hype is for a reason. I love this palette, so definitely gonna keep. I'm not doing very good. Next up, I did 3 different looks with this and showcased it for you guys and posted to Instagram, and I love this palette. It is the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette. The packaging, again, everything that they do is with thought and intention. It's beautiful, but the top literally just flips off and it's magnetic, and then it has like the little trios that you can use, and I did one trio. I did one look with this set, one look here, and then one look here. Beautiful. Another one that if you kind of looked at it, this is definitely Riri right here, but if you looked at it, you may be like, oh, that's not really a Riri palette. But I'm here to tell y'all that it is, and it was. It's gorgeous. Same thing. Very blendable, easy to work with, matte formula. The shimmer formula is stunning, glass-like, very, very smooth, long-lasting on the lids, which you guys know is quite important to me. We're not getting rid of this one. This one's not going anywhere. I love this palette. We're not doing good this time, you guys. Can't win them all. Next up is another one like the Dirty Dancing one that I don't care whatever happens. This just holds so much significance in my life. The nostalgia, the feels, all the warm, cuddly vibes that I get from it, it's not going anywhere. Even though I don't use it now because it's very clearly expired. I think this is from 2015 or 2016. But it is the Sugar Pill Edward Scissorhands 25th Anniversary Limited Edition Palette. That's a lot to say. I love it. I love it. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. I've watched it 6,222 times, I'm sure. I love it. I love it so much. And typically speaking, this would not have been, even back then, something that I would have gravitated toward. Definitely these, but again, I'm not really into blues and grays and stuff like that most of the time. But this shade right here, like, they still feel nice. I could probably get away with using it, but I'm not going to. But this is the shade Ice Angel, and it is this beautiful white. And now keep in mind, this is back from like 2015, 2016. It is a white, but it's a beautiful duochrome and has this beautiful periwinkle blue purple shift to it that I think, especially for back then, was not something we really saw all the time. And Sugar Pill was more of an indie type brand, but I used the heck out of that. It was like my inner corner shade for a long time. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but there's actually, yes, you can. But I actually hit pan on that shade. I love it. I love it so much. And I wish that they would like revamp this or redo this, or just, I could find a new one. Definitely don't use it anymore because I'm sure it's expired. I want to say 2015 or 2016. If I can look it up and find it, I'll let you guys know. Or if you guys know, feel free to comment down below. Keeping it, love it, not going anywhere. Are you a fan of Dirty Dancing? Are you a fan of Edward Scissorhands? Next up is one of my favorite. I think it is my favorite. Is this my favorite? Other than the That Time of the Year palette from Gourmand Girls, just because it's got my name on it and it's super special to me. The Spooked palette from Gourmand Girls. Look, honey, look. Christina, come here, girl. Christina. You did the damn thing on this palette. No wonder it sold out and then sold out again. It's the Spooked palette. It's incredible. Goes light to dark. Has a ton of depth. The mattes are fantastic. They blend out well. They build up well. They lay on top of each other well. The shimmer formula is fantastic. It's a beautiful palette. Absolutely mother effing stunning. She nailed this palette. It is absolutely beautiful, you guys. I love it. I love the color story. I love the layout. I love everything about it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It is. Other than That Time of the Year, just because I'm partial to that palette, obviously. My favorite Gourmand Girls palette is beautiful. I'm so incredibly happy for her because she deserved it. She killed it. She absolutely nailed it on this. And I love that it's spooky vibes, but literally this could be year-round. You have a ton of neutrals. You have some topper shades. You've got some more pinky purple shades you could play with. There's a lot of depth. I could go on and on and on about this palette, but I won't because we're trying to keep these videos under 35 minutes. Moving on. Next up, I have this cute little Ofora palette. This is the Mini Mix palette, good to go. I still haven't used it. and I'm probably not going to use it. It does have a beautiful highlight and then a couple of like blush, more bronzy shades, and then your eyeshadow shades. I do not remember using this. I'm pretty sure I have not used this yet. Clearly I've kept enough, so we'll declutter. I don't need it. Next up is the Alien Cosmetics. They're called something else now. Crap, I cannot remember. They like rebranded and stuff, but this was their Fairy Frolic palettes. Again, another indie brand. And this is what it looks like. This one right here came busted when it came to me, which kind of stunk. Again, it's a little bit more kind of grungy leaning, which obviously is my vibes. I am going to declutter this just because I already know that I have plenty that are very, very similar color stories to this. But really good quality. I had no issues with it. Blended well. Lasted a long time on the lids. Look at this wipe. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic palette. I'm, you know, not unhappy that I have it, but I just don't need it because I have so many that are very similar to it. So we're going to declutter that one. Then I brought out a bunch of little minis, so we'll wrap up with those. First up, we have the little ColourPop Ballad Pressed Palette. Because this is cool tone, we know I don't do cool tones all the time, and I have the Smoke Show, Blowing Smoke. Smoke something. The other cool tone little 9-pan from ColourPop, it's phenomenal quality, so I am going to go ahead and declutter this one because I have that one. This one right here, I actually traveled with quite a bit, and it's such a good freaking palette. It's the Too Faced Teddy Bear palette. I got it when it was on clearance. And I love it. It's neutral, it's basic, it's soft, but it's enough for me that like when we go out of town, there's a little bit of depth here. There's like an inner corner shade and stuff. And I think it's really good quality. I really, really like this palette a lot. So I'll be keeping this one. I was also blown away by the ColourPop Clay It Cool palette. I love this palette. I think it's quite versatile. It's quite inclusive. There is a matte shade and a shimmer shade to kind of correspond, or of course you can mix and match. And I felt like this formula, especially for the shimmer shades, was a lot smoother and a lot more high shine and fold than a lot of ColourPop palettes. I mean, this is up here with Glamlite, okay? And we know how much I love their shimmers. Beautiful, beautiful palette. Very affordable. I think they killed it. They killed it with this palette. Love it. Keeping it. Next up, I don't know how I keep getting this particular palette because I literally have gotten rid of like 2 or 3. I have another one, and now I have another one. So I don't know how I keep getting any more of these. I apparently am getting them in subscription boxes throughout the year, and I'm just keeping them, and I have a bunch. Never used it. Love Natasha Denona's formula though. This is the Cranberry palette. I have enough. I have a ton of stuff open right now. I have these colors 50 times over probably, so I'm going to also declutter that, especially since it's not been used yet. And then I also have more of the little minis. These all I got in like subscription boxes. I love Natasha Denona's formula. She has a beautiful, very blendable, very beginner-friendly formula. I feel like it lasts a long time on the lids. I love that she offers different textures. She's got high shine ones. She's got fold ones. She's got ones with sparkle and glitter. She has an incredible matte formula. She has the cream to matte formula that she has. For a brand to be hyped up and talked about that much and actually stand up to the hype, that's what impresses me. And the quality stands up to the hype 150% in my opinion. Okay, this is the Jubilee. I'll just swatch just a couple for you. And you can see even like this one, this is more of the matte formula, but it's like a cream to matte. The shimmer formula is fantastic. They blend well, they layer well. I also have the Peak eyeshadow palette, also got in a subscription box. And then I also have this one right here, which came to me broken. So I'll keep all of these. I do want to keep some smaller palettes simply because we do travel quite a bit. Whew. That is it. Of course, I will count everything up. I don't feel like we did as good here. I feel like I kept most of these. Oops. And I think I am going to keep the Michaela palette just because I love Glamlite so much. And even if all I use is the like green, yellow, grungy, and the neutrals, I still feel like I'm going to get enough use out of it. And just their shimmer and metallic formula is great. It's really good. I'm going to add up what I'm keeping, add up what I'm decluttering. I'll put it right here. Thank you for joining me. I love you, beauties. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. And of course, be your own best beautiful. Bye, beauties.